Hello, my pack, my tribe. Welcome to Howling After Dark. This is your friend Ghostful J. We're doing something a little bit different for those listening tonight. Usually we just do radio. But today, I'm broadcasting live video on YouTube. So, for those that have not heard or seen me before, I will give you a little background on myself. I'm the leader and founder of the ghost hunting group, Ghostful Paranormal. I've been a paranormal investigator for 30 years, and I'm what you would call clairvoyant, I guess. I had a near-death experience when I was very young, and as a result, I see spirits, and have since I was 5 years old. Which means I'm the guy you want to have a camera, because if there's something to catch, I'm going to catch it. I have a chatter asking me, what am I howling about? That's actually a really good question. All things paranormal at the moment. Kind of going to do maybe some paranormal news or something. Or maybe you can come up with a topic. I'm open to suggestions all the time. But there you have it. So at the moment, paranormal news. Facts. I'm going to attempt to do something a little different here. 1 second. Typing some stuff in. See what comes up. Alright, I'm loading this website. Here's one that I actually have possibly some insight. The headline says parasitic astral entities plague us. And this is from yesterday, November 17th. And I'm going to read you the article, or at least a bit of the article, and then I'm going to get into my insight of this. It says, while we wander through life, we open different doorways to our destiny. It's our choices that define us and who we are as people. Learning about the unknown can be often scary since we don't know what to expect next. Quite often people mock and laugh at things because they do not see, taste, or touch them. It is natural because humans by nature question everything around them. It happens the moment we are born into this world. Surround ourselves with people who are there to support and comfort us. It will likely lead to our successes in life. They are a shoulder to cry on or someone to laugh with. Emotional issues that seem to haunt people throughout their life may well be something beyond what we can see with our very own eyes. We live life by what we stand for and often lead with our heavy hearts. People are passionate whether they realize it or not. This can sometimes lead them into trouble or sometimes salvation. There are different energies around us that can interfere with our emotions. These non-physical energies are around people each and every day. Okay, so what this article is basically leading up to is something I've seen um, and had quite a bit of experience with. Um, as I mentioned before, I've seen spirits basically most of my life, and that is not limited to what we would commonly refer to as ghosts. Um, and before anyone asks, yes, I have seen demons, and no, I don't wish that on anyone. Okay, they say I'm breaking up. Can you hear me? Hope so. And yes, to answer that question, I have heard of sleep paralysis. There's a couple different theories I'll get into in a little bit about that, but let me continue what I'm talking about before I get into that. That'll actually be my very next topic. Um, so, anyways, this, at least the entity that comes to mind with this topic, um, there may be other names for it. I call them shades. Um, let me try something. They say I'm staticky. Turn it down just a little, mic down just a little bit. Does that help? Fold this in a little bit. Okay. Well, anyhow, what shades are, um, they're these entities that kind of attach to people. And from what I've seen, experienced, everything, uh, basically what they do is they can cause negative things to happen because what they feed off of is your negative emotion. Um, Not quite shadow people. It's a little bit different because what you're referring to, shadow people. a lot of the time, these shadows most of the time are the same thing as an apparition. It's just a different method of manifesting. Uh, but they do kind of appear like that. I call them shades. Basically, a somewhat humanoid looking shadow that kind of, the way I see it, it kind of like, it's like a black, somewhat human shaped mist with red glowing eyes that kind of wraps itself around people and literally feeds off of their negative emotions. They can actually cause negative things to happen in your life so that they have more to feed off of. Some people may or may not know this. My new listeners won't. In addition to all this that I've already said, I'm Blackfoot Cherokee on my mom's side. I'm like a 16th Navajo on my dad's side, and I'm a practicing medicine man. As a result, I have done nearly 500 house cleansings to date, and in a 30-year career, I've had one situation where I actually had to return to the home, um, and only one. So that's a pretty excellent record if you're doing the math. So I have had to deal with these things and kind of get rid of them for people before. Um, I may or may not be the only person that sees them. If there is somebody else, I've never met them. Although I would love to meet somebody else that's seen them, or maybe seen them and didn't realize what it was. Simply so I don't feel like I'm alone. You know what I mean? Or that I'm crazy. I know I'm not crazy, but at least not in that way. um, okay, so shades aren't demons exactly. At least not as far as I can tell. Demons are a much different thing. They are very negative, though. Um, well, before I'm responding to this person in my chat right now who what was that first topic? Let's see. You have a lot of great ideas. Um, what was the first thing that you said? 'Cause for some reason, well, let me scroll up. Oh, there we go. Oh, sleep paralysis. Okay, so there's a couple different theories about sleep paralysis. One has it that it's actually not spiritual at all. That what you're actually experiencing is a trick of your mind, and you can't move because you're kind of trapped in the moment before you're fully awake. It is basically what they're alluding to. However, I gotta say, I'm not too sure about that. Because I happen to know that certain spirits can actually cause you to have the same thing. Um, but that would be something I would have to really dig into to tell you any more about. Okay, the next thing you're talking about is incubus and succubus. Now, incubus and succubus are actually the same thing. Uh, one is male, one is female, and actually, what they do, according to legend, is they basically have sex with you in your sleep to rob you of your essence, if you will. And I don't know. That whole thing has never quite made sense to me. Um, and it actually comes from Greek lore. Uh, yes, I know. Going back to sleep paralysis, do you mind if I say your name on the air? I know some people can be like worried about that. But she says sleep paralysis has a few different symptoms. One is astral projection, leaving your physical to roam the earth plane. When you leave your body, your consciousness is still there, but you can't move. Okay. And her name is Rachel, she says. Um, yes, yes, and that kind of goes into a different theory, actually, where um, you're kind of like in between astral projection and returning to your body. Because oftentimes when people are experience sleep paralysis, they'll see kind of like a shadow person. My theory is that the shadow person you're actually seeing is in fact you. Oh, interesting. She says her sleep paralysis is like that, but she is still in her body and she gets approached by shadow entities. Let me ask you: do you feel when that happens? You feel like you're being threatened? Oh, I see. They come to speak or help to pass through. Okay. So not necessarily threatened. That's good. Okay, but not all the time. Okay. Well, the reason I ask is because if you like if that happens to you a lot and you always feel threatened, that could actually be a sign of would be referred to as demonic oppression. Um, because demons will sometimes do that so that you can't get any rest, you can't sleep, and when you can't get sleep, your mind weakens, which makes you more vulnerable, etc., etc. They can be. Um, I will tell you that like I see them, like really see them, like I could see them clearly as I could a person if they were in the same room, like a living person. The only difference is by way of description of what I mean when I say I see them, if you've ever seen the movie Frighteners, how the ghosts follow him around, kind of appear, like you can see their details, but you can also see through them. It's kind of something like that. Yeah, and they're insanely ugly, by the way. Um, referring to demons, because she says no, demons are different. Yeah. So, and I totally get. See, the thing a lot of people don't understand about the paranormal is, like in a 30-year career, I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I've actually come across a demon. Now, that's not to count like other types of negative entities, because there are things out there that are dark and negative that aren't demonic. And most of those were either like have never been alive in a way that we would recognize it, or um, are spirits of people that died that are so angry that it actually twisted them, if you will, into something else. And the fact of the matter is uh, demons, while very, very negative, don't really pussyfoot around. Like, they're pretty much immediately gonna do something to get what they want. Um, usually like oppression or possession. Um, she says I usually don't deal with malevolent things. Neither do I, to be honest with you, because I don't look for it. And when I do come across them, they really don't like me, because I was taught very early on how to um, not only defend myself against them, but how to hurt them. Um, and that's a topic for another show. Yeah, she says you have to back down to let them in, and she's right. You have to be very weak willed for them to get in. First off, um, and the thing about that is, uh, well, yeah, you're right. She says if they frighten you, then you're giving room for them to come in, which is absolutely true, and that's kind of what I've said for a long time. I have zero fear. I'm not afraid of anything, really, which some people would call insane, but actually it just makes you stronger if you're not afraid, because fear is what they feed off of. Shouldn't it be? Now that's let me explain though. There's a big difference between being stupid and being brave. Okay, being brave conquering your fear and using it as a weapon. Being stupid, that's almost a challenge for them. Um, yes, those are good. She's talking about using salt, iron, and rose or white quartz as defenses against negative. You know what else works really well? There's a stone called blue apatite. That's Apatite. Um, it's really good for that. That's actually what it's traditionally used for to keep people spiritual. Now, I'm kind of going to get into something else here. Um, because not on the air or anything, but like I was having a conversation with somebody out in like real life, and they asked me a question that I kind of had to put a lot of thought into. They asked me if I think that what we think of as aliens, like grays, what have you, um, if they are in fact spirits, possibly demons that are mimicking other things. And I thought about it a long time because the thing is I don't want to make like any kind of blanket statements about this stuff. I really want to give it some thought, and I did. I've thought about it for about a week. So here's my answer: no, they're not. Um, Now that's not to say that something like a demon or another kind of negative spirit isn't capable of doing that, but here's my question to follow that initial question. Why would they? Why would they bother? They don't need to play those kind of mind games with you, number one. And number two, if they wanted to scare you, they would just show you them their true selves and not, mess around about it at all. Because, like the old saying goes, the truth is far more terrifying than anything that they could make up. Now, do I believe in aliens? Yeah, yeah, I do. Have I had any experiences with them? Not yet. That's not to say it'll never happen, but it hasn't happened yet. But let me explain to you why I believe in them. I believe in them for a very logical reason: mathematics, probabilities. As vast as the universe is, to think that we are alone in it, incredibly fucking arrogant. Seriously. I mean, think about that for a second. We're saying, and by we, I mean most people out there, most people are and I'm talking about the more closed-minded types, are saying that we're alone in the universe. There's no possibility that there's any other sentient living creature out there anywhere. That's what they think. But to think that is the height of human arrogance because you're basically denying the mathematical probability that in something as vast as the universe that there is no other planet that can sustain any kind of life. And yes, I actually agree with you. I think they are here already to some degree. Now, here's the thing. I think there are different types. I don't know if I necessarily buy the whole gray reptilian whatever stuff, but I do believe there probably are different types because our galaxy alone is too big for us to be the only sentient beings in it. Not to mention I mean, okay, our solar system is only a drop in the ocean that is the universe. Yeah, and that's a good question too. She says, "What would be the point of a universe if we're the only ones in it?" Right? Well, it would be. I mean, that. That's kind of like moving into a mansion, like this huge, vast, like Buckingham Palace. It would be like moving into Buckingham Palace with all its rooms in every section of that place, and yet only living in the living room. The living room, only place in that whole place with people in it. That's insane. Well, why have all that space if you're not going to use it? Anyways, moving on. Yeah, I'm actually not. Uh, I'm not a fan of evolution because she says, "Well, evolution has proved there is more than one species." And yes, you're right. Um, However, um, I don't really believe in quote unquote evolution, at least not in the way that it's been laid forth. Like, I don't necessarily believe that we were evolved from apes. I don't think it was apes, first off. Um, that's just me, my personal opinion. Um, I don't think that it took as long as maybe we've been led to believe. She says, so if you live on a planet with only red planets, your skin pigmentation would go red. Actually, I'm Native American, so my skin pigmentation is pretty red anyways. But I'm also part white, so it's only when I tan, you know. Oh, well, there's another topic because I have a theory about that one too. She says I'm not evolved from Bigfoot, LMAO. I kind of want to get into Bigfoot. to be honest with you, because I have my own theory about Bigfoot. Yes, I am Native American. Well, at least part. Okay, so I'll explain this. Uh, I'm actually a tiny little bit more Native American than I ever thought before, um, because my mom. No, I don't, um, and I'll get to that. She asked, "Do I live on a reservation?" No, actually, I live in Akron, Ohio. Uh, okay, so my mom is Blackfoot and Cherokee. Um, I always thought my dad was just white, just white. That's it. Um, but I never met him. Um, lived my entire life, and I didn't know him. And in 2015, I met his side of the family for the first time, and I found out that on his side of the family, I am roughly a 16th Navajo, Gypsy, Cajun, Irish, and Scottish. Yeah, yeah. Well, I wouldn't exactly call them cryptids, not in the way you're thinking of. They're more like spirits. Because she says you gave us some famous cryptids, Thunderbirds, Wendigo, exactly. Um, but what I think Bigfoot is, and this is just my theory, I think Bigfoot is actually an elemental spirit. I think that's why it can leave behind physical um, evidence, like footprints, and then just poof, be gone. My personal theory, not asking anybody to believe it, but whatever. Um, Thunderbirds and Wendigo, well, Wendigo for sure I know are very much more spiritual than they are physical, because I have had experiences with them. They're a lot like skinwalkers in a way. Kind of protectors of the forest, but not quite what I would call gods. They would be closer to like how the Norse or the Greeks would refer to as a demigod. I guess would be kind of close. No, they're not. She says Wendigo are demons. No, they're not. They're they can be about that savage though. They're actually nature spirits that punish people that violate their domain. Okay, I'm going to give a 4 minute warning here because I have about 4 minutes left in this session. What I mean by that, for those that haven't heard me before, is I get 45 minutes of recording time, and then I've got to stop and then start all over again. So there will be a part two. So when it disconnects, don't freak out. We will be back. No, what you're referring to is something else entirely. Um, that that is a what's the term I'm looking for? A misnomer. Um, that's actually kind of okay. I have a totally different theory. I don't have enough time left in this section to get into, but I will get into it in part two about what you're referring to. It is not Wendigo. It's not even Native American, actually. No, trust me. When I get into this, you're gonna go, huh? That actually kind of makes sense. Oh no, my mom will be the first to tell you. Anyways, so just about 2 minutes left now. Hmm. She's talking to me, and I'm responding. Um, we're having a disagreement about the whole Wendigo thing, but a friendly disagreement. She says I can respect your theory, and I appreciate that. But let let me get into it in part two, seriously, because I don't have enough time. Um, but I think I may sway you to my side, or at least get you thinking about it. Give me like not even going to be like that long. It's going to be a couple minutes in between at most. So I mean, I'll basically be right back. 30-second warning. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this session, and I will be right back with part two.